It's the J Bass Today Show. Get ready for a good time, a good time. It's the J Bass Today Show. Get ready to ride. Welcome to the J Bass Today Show. Thank you so much for riding with me, and I hope you enjoy the show. Season's greetings. God bless you to each of you. Welcome to the J Bass Today Show. I am here again with my special guest, Mr. Titus Glenn. Titus, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm here, brother. I am here. It's been a long day, but it is good to be on with you. I'm looking forward to another good, deep conversation with you. And so I wrote something in my notes last week that I'm trying to figure out what was I talking about. And so maybe we should start there. I
I
wrote
don't
something
know what
about
you wrote.
journaling. Somewhere we left off talking about journaling. And I don't know what I wrote that for. So maybe we could think about it for a minute and come back to it, or if you have an idea.
When I normally talk about journaling, I normally speak to getting rid of energy or writing out your thoughts so that it has somewhere to go. A lot of us African Americans were taught not to say anything. We were taught not to talk to people about our emotions or really be emotional, especially for Black African American men.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
a lot of things that I talk to journaling, or when I speak to journaling, I'm speaking to journaling, writing out all your emotions, your thoughts, so that you're just not sitting holding on to them.
Mm.
So I'm not
Okay.
sure where we were last week because there's so many things that we talked about last week.
And so do you go back and read the journaling that you've done and kind of look at where your thoughts were, or are you just getting it out?
I say get it out. I would say get it out. Sometimes you may go back through it and see the history of where you came from. It could be a good reminder to say, "Oh, I used to think some crazy stuff," and then you can use your journal to kind of pinpoint the history of how you've evolved.
Okay, come on, evolution. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. And so the next thing on my list from last week, it's pretty lengthy list there. That was a good conversation. And so I remember talking about how you said your music has evolved as you have evolved, and definitely wanted to just get some more insight into that because uh, I know the song that you presented at the conference is a song. Had you recorded it somewhere else, or with someone else, or had you recorded it?
I've recorded it, and there's been like maybe like two other artists that have recorded it as well.
Okay.
Maybe one.
And so when you think about even just that particular composition and where you are today, what's different? What is your writing style now? How has it changed?
My writing style has changed to write more on a affirmational level. Uh, and I said affirmation instead of conscious because I feel like people may not understand conscious and subconscious, but I feel like my writing is more about how to think logically and how to put that logic into pen, pen and pad. So not necessarily write about Jesus saving per se, but maybe writing a song about empowering you to save yourself.
Okay.
So like even with in advance the song that we're talking about in my evolution as a thinker, believer, creative, um, right in advance still carries weight because on the spirituality side it's still all about speaking things as though they were, as though they speaking things that be not as though they were, right? Because it's still all about having faith, believing that it's already done versus waiting on it to happen. And so in advance, I'll go ahead and give you praise in advance. I think that lyric in itself is speaking to God, source creator, or some people may say universe, to say, I'm going to praise that because I know that what I'm believing for is already done. I don't care what's going on. I'm going to praise, which to me only speaks of positive affirmation. I'm going to speak to the positive of what's happening, or I'm going to speak to what I desire to happen. I'm going to speak to the part of me that doesn't want to go through, but I'm going to speak and say, I'm going to do this. It's going to happen. I can do this. It is happening, or I am doing this, and this is happening. To me, that is still praising in advance to get on the other.
Okay. As I hear this, and I had some thought about this throughout the week after our conversation, and growing up, especially in the church, one of the things that we learn is never to deny Jesus. And so,
Mm.
where do you stand with that now in this new place of
Oh,
life?
Jay, are you serious?
Oh yeah, let's go. I'm ready to. You should have known from last week that I try to get to it.
Oh my! You pressing the you treading the water.
Let's get it.
Okay, so where do I? Are you talking about the notion that not to deny Jesus? Is that what the question was?
For the most part, because it's I guess it's kind of twofold. Let me add the second part in because uh, in the aspect of when someone says there are many ways to God, the way I see that is that they're saying He can get your attention in many different ways to draw you to Him. But when you say that or you refer to Jesus and His sacrifice, what are your beliefs pertaining to that now in this new season?
Ooh, I believe that Jesus was a man who came and he taught on a conscious level. I believe that he came and he taught in parables in the way that mystics do today, or in the way that people talk, like we're having a conversation, and maybe some of the things I'm saying you don't understand, and I have to go back and say it in a different way. I
Mm,
believe that Jesus was the same way.
mm,
I also believe that he didn't necessarily come to die for us, but he ended up dying trying to show the religious people that what he said, what he was saying was true. And in that, he became a martyr in a sense, because people started to carry out what he was saying. And instead of giving credit to God, I believe more people started giving credit to Jesus.
mm.
So now we have this story of that you got to go through Jesus to get to God, which I don't believe is the case. I believe that if anything, Jesus is a brother in the spirit who has shown me how to get access to God for myself.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
And that might be a lot to chew on, because it took me a while to get there, especially with the whole narrative of what we've been preached on, with Jesus coming to die and save. And most of the story that we were given that from was based upon Caucasian people who told us that Jesus was white. So when you go and really do the digging and find out that Jesus wasn't white, he was more of a brown colored person. And not only was he brown colored person, but he also grew up in the East, and they had different customs. They had different ways of being. And you go do more digging, and you figure out that some of the things that we took as literal, he was only saying as a figure of speech. And then you go and have to figure out where did this speech come from and what he was talking. That leads you to other things that really exposes the truth of what he was saying.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm taking it all in, and I'm sure this is going to be very intriguing just to uh, those who will hear it, just because what I appreciate are different perspectives of
Mhm.
life, and it is indeed a journey, and what we learn along the way does at times challenge what we were taught to believe, because even as you said that the Bible has been translated in so many different ways, and like even the saying the name Jesus, he was not called Jesus. His Mary did not call him Jesus. You know what I'm saying? If they even called her Mary, you know what I'm saying? It's some of these things that they are definitely questionable, and so as you said, the digging is so crucial. It's so crucial just for your own understanding, and especially considering the times and the things that were going on around the time that he lived, and all of that. And so, thank you for answering that question.
And I'm
Uh,
glad that it was not Christ. And people don't really go into that. We say Jesus Christ, but Christ wasn't even his last name. When
no,
you
no, yeah,
start doing the research, like Christ was a mindset. It was a conscious space. So when you really start getting to the teaching of Jesus and some of the other things, reading on even the books that are not even in the Bible, that's a whole nother thing. But when you start really
hmm
looking, when you talk about Jesus Christ and really look at it, it speaks to him walking in his divinity, in consciousness,
hmm
right? But when you say Christ Jesus, it's more so alluding to the space of you walking in your divinity, in your Christ consciousness. So there's a lot of things that I believe we've been told, but it brings about um, a struggle within, because now you are tied to a story that have some people, that story have healed them. Some people, the story have changed their emotions. But then it's like as I evolve, I've had to give meaning as to how that story worked for that situation. And that could have been just because I needed some encouragement. So I found hope out of it. But now that I've evolved, and I can look at it from a different vantage point, it it hits different. But it doesn't change my experience that I had when I
right.
used to shout about the blood and shout of, because I think that's still some people that still have meaning. And I think for me, I have had to change what that means to me. I feel like the blood of Jesus is nothing but another affirmation to me. Like you're just speaking life, right? And so I'm having to go through this phase of, okay, I remember these experiences where I felt this way when I said it. But now it's like, well, if that's not true, then what do I do with it? I think people have
Mm.
to really walk and figure out what works for them. Some people throw it away altogether. Some people don't even pick it back up. But for me, because I've been in it, it's hard to just throw it away.
Mhm.
Especially knowing, for me, I feel like there's a lot of people that's coming into a spiritual awakening that are starting to realize or feel like that the story and the things we've been told are not true, and they're struggling with how to navigate between what's true for me now and what was true for me then.
I was telling you last week that the power of story is just it's a topic that we've discussed in composition, and I'm actually gonna write my argumentative essay on it, because stories do plays such a huge part in our humanity. Uh, in fact, I just wholeheartedly believe that the narrative, every part of our lives and the things that we believe are all results of stories that we've been told. And so, really honing in on the story that you believe, and even with the story of Jesus, it's all about your belief. Everything goes back to what you believe, and so, thinking about that's where uh, the biggest battle is. It's in our mind. It's the things that we believe, that we accept as truth, or that we deem as not true. And so you said something about the place where everything is born. And I don't know why I wrote that down, but I want to try to see if we could pick that back up like journaling. See why I wrote that. Why did I write the place
It's
where
everything
everything is born?
born. I mean, if anything, I remember us talking about the unknown.
Mhm.
And if that's taking me back to going into uncharted territory, because everything that you want is in that uncharted territory. And in this moment, I could think about being in the womb. It was dark. Like if we're in the womb, we can't really see anything, and it's in that dark place, or in those moments, even in life when it's dark, that we develop, we come into a knowledge of the things that we desire. And I think we were alluding to, or I was alluding to, coming out of what you knew in order to embrace what you really want and to be free. Like there, I have so much freedom. I have so much freedom, and this freedom is allowing me to help other people be free, because it really is um, a war in your mind, especially coming out of church and coming out of the thinking of I'm going to hell because I have this attraction with men. I was actually driving Uber today, and the conversation from one of the people in the car, we were talking about same gender love relationships, and she's in a 23-year relationship. And I get excited when I just hear about people, no matter if they're gay, straight, because I believe in relationships. I really do. And she was asking me, was I same gender loving? I said, yes, I am. And she was like, her question to me was, how did I get through not feeling bad about it? And
What a question.
my response to her was basically explaining to her that there is this thing that they have coined that is called religious trauma. And what religious trauma does to the brain when you start talking about fear and all that, it puts you into a space to where you question yourself. You question who you are. You
Mhm.
question you hearing God for yourself. You question
Mhm.
a lot of things. And once I said that, she said, well, what about, the Bible's, talking about hell. And my response to her, well, what if we interpreted hell wrong? Or what if we interpret the Bible wrong? Which is what I believe. I believe that the things that have been taught to us have put us in a state of mind that we're so fearful to even want to ask, and even not just ask, but just do it anyway, because we're so afraid of burning. We're so afraid of going to a place to that's gonna where we're gonna be condemned forever.
Mhm.
And so what I'm finding is I had to sit with what was true for me. I had to really go in and do the research and look logically. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but one of the things that really helped me in this learning about God that I had to share with my mother, right? I had to share with her, and this is the analogy that I gave her, okay? Because we always talk about there's only one way to God. We quote that Jesus is the only way. We quote that. And my response to my mother was, because she's in New York, right? I said, if you was coming to Texas, which is where I'm at, I said, is there only one way to get here? And she was like, well, she was thinking about it. I said, no, there isn't.
No, it's not. Okay.
Why? You can drive, you can
And you
take
can
the
take
boat,
multiple driving routes.
you can walk, you can do all these things and still get to Texas. And not one of them is a wrong way.
Hmm.
And then I said, so if we are created in the image of God and everything that is associated with us, so above, so below, that whole saying, how is it that when we start talking about God, there is only one way? Make it
Hmm.
make sense. Make it make sense. Because that means I could be born in this faith, and that means that somebody on the side of the world has to be born in the same faith, or they're wrong. That doesn't logically, that doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
So having to give people space to think this through because they haven't had opportunity to think, because they haven't been able to ask questions. They've been taught that everything is wrong. Like
Hmm.
we went from you can't wear makeup, you can't wear lipstick. Some people preach that you can't even have a beard because that's sin. Some people preach that you can't have long hair. Like they pick and choose what is good literally, and then the stuff that they are okay with doing, they say that well that's not literal. That's not what that meant.
Oh.
So we end up with a lot of confusion when I believe the Bible is a personal development for you. You have to figure out what God is saying to you. And if it's not hurting or harming anybody else, those are things that God is telling you to do so that you can be pushed to a greater purpose.
Okay. Okay. And so then the next thing was create what you want. I remember that being such a powerful statement last week. And so even, to me, to follow up what you just said with creating what you want, how would you tie that in?
Ooh, I would tie that in because I feel like what I've discovered in my own journey in this creation and what you want, a lot of us want things that we feel like ain't God because we've been taught that it ain't God, right? So for me, I desire to be in a happy, healthy relationship, no matter if it's a man or woman, right? But I would have never dated a man, even though I just want to experience love, right? Because I thought it was wrong. Now I'm in a space of, well, if I see it in an individual and they happen to be same gender loving, I'm gonna go for it because that's what I want, and I get to create what I want. But I also think it also speaks to that if God is living in you, and if God created heaven and earth, you also have that ability to create within you, right? Which also alludes to that if God is in me, then He's speaking to me, then maybe some of the things of what I really want is God, is really God. But the disconnect comes because I'm ashamed or I'm fearful as to going about how I actually get it done.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's a layered question because like I feel like our 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 idea of God has been so skewed that we've been taught to believe in this God that's sitting up high versus there's a God that we're all connected to, and that God is residing within. But when we come before him and like I'm shamed and I'm I'm wretched and like we are brought down. But when we understand that everything God is, I am, then that gives a greater awareness that I can stand up and love because if God is love, so am I. If God is peace, so am I. If God can speak a thing and declare a thing, so can I, because that same God that created the heaven and earth is living in me.
Okay. Hey, I'm with it. I am with it. I am with it. And that really is to me just it speaks so much power to our lives. And because often we are made to feel so ashamed. That word shame is just I think, we hear it and we consider it, but there are so many times, in our lives that we have been made to feel shame for one reason or another. And it literally does make you feel at times fearful to be you and authentically you because someone shamed you for being you. And so, the question that and I tell you, I was laughing within myself because I, these girl on girl relationships, they know how to last. Some of them are crazy and they don't last long, but it's usually the same ones that's in and out relationships. But those seem to be some of the longest lasting relationships. And it's just like, okay, what is the disconnect between the men and the women that they are able, seemingly more of them, to have longer lasting relationships? And I mean, of course, we never know what's going on in the home of any relationship, but it just seems like they get along better even than a lot of male female relationships that I've seen. And so I just thought I'd throw that in. But when you when you said that she asked you that particular question as far as your journey to getting through some of that, uh, or how did you get past, especially what I heard really is the shame of it, is the negativity of who we are and what we feel. Kind of the way I explain it or think about it is just like some of these guys that you'll see when a girl walks past and she got this shape, or her breast or her butt is something, and they cowing and hooping and hollering, and oh man, you see her, you see that. When I see a man that looks like what I deem as just this, I can go off right now and start beginning to tell you what if I saw that got my attention, then I somewhat have that same response. And so, that is the place, I think, is the level ground where we can try to identify, because there are some who are heterosexual who just cannot understand how it is that as a man, I can have an attraction to another man. It's not every man. In fact, I would even venture to say most men that I see, it's just another brother, it's just another man. But then there are those when I see, I'm like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? And he can be standing to this what is considered this fine, fine woman, and he doesn't even have to be all that. But if he meets that criteria and I look and I see him, I probably won't even see her. You get what I'm saying? And so to grow to a place that there's something hardwired about me that is attracted to him more than her. And this didn't just happen because I made a choice. As long as I can remember, this is how I felt. I've noticed along my journey that I would look for look at a male in that way before I would look at a female. In fact, I would only look at a female because that's what I was told I was supposed to do. You get what I'm saying? And so, I'm saying all this to get back to that journey aspect because it's not easy, and I don't guess it's supposed to be easy to get to that place of what we talked about last week, coming out. And so I just, I told you that I like to do an encouragement piece throughout. And maybe if you could encourage someone who is still in that struggle, they're in the very struggle now of determining, am I gay? Am I not? Do I like the same or because if you are attracted to the same gender, you are. But is this the road that I'm gonna take, or am I gonna be one of those like we talked about last week who uh is attracted to same gender, but because of what we're taught, I'm going to just marry someone and just be in it just to, say that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm. Um, my encouragement to you is to really love yourself first. Like get over, I hate to say it like that, but find a way to release yourself from the judgment. One of the books that, and I think I probably said this last week, one of the books I would recommend reading if you feel like you are a homosexual male. One of the books I recommend reading is I'm gay, black, and I'm to me that's a
You going down. I want that to be said where it's loud. I
so the
couldn't hear
book
that.
so the book was I'm gay, I'm black, I'm gay, and I'm a minister. And
A
it's
minister?
yeah, um, yes, I'm black, I'm gay, and I'm a minister.
Wow. Now that sounds like an
That
interesting book, period. Wow.
yes, and his name is Benjamin. I'm trying to think of his name, but basically, one of the lines that he said, I think I said this last week, but one of the lines that he said in his book was that Benjamin Carlton is his name. In his book, he basically said, which I can identify with this, is that from the time that we were all conceived, we were at the mercy of biology. And so my encouragement to everyone, whoever is struggling, is to really first love yourself and then sit with who told you that it was wrong.
Hmm.
Who told you that was wrong, and then start doing the digging that you feel led to do. So yeah, that's what I would say. Because once you start doing that digging and you start asking God to show you and open up, not based upon what you've been told, but based upon what are you reading, what are you researching? Because what we don't do most of the time, we don't go and research the opposite side. We only do research based upon how to strengthen what we know. But we never do the research to counteract what is on the opposite end. And I feel like in that, when you do that, you find a balance and you find your truth, the truth that works for you. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So uh, I'm with it. I think in the last part of the last show, we started to discuss your life coaching practice and how people can get in touch with you. Um, how people can get in touch with you if they would like to uh, know more about the sound baths or for life coaching, to contact you as a conscious artist, and even as the going back to the conscious artist, I wrote it down, but it was just up under what I was supposed to write for your title. But what is the job or the responsibilities, the duties, or what is a conscious artist? What do you do?
What do I do? My role as a conscious artist is to really bring everyone together on a global level. Like me saying I'm a conscious artist is not religious based. Like I can legit sing an affirmation and that hits anybody. That hit anybody. I got a song right now that it just basically says, I know that today it's gonna be a good day. I can see the light shining mighty bright. All things working for me. And anything I put my hands to is gonna be successful. I know that today, believe that today, it's gonna be a good day. That will hit anybody. Like I do affirmations on TikTok, and one of the ones that really hit a lot of people was this affirmation that somebody put out there that I started singing. Uh, all of my wildest dreams are coming true, coming true. All of my wildest dreams are coming true, coming true. So, as a conscious artist, there is no division. It supports everybody in their own personal journey of living life, whether it's trying to gain love, wealth, or just personal growth and development for yourself.
Okay, I like that. I see exactly what. Okay, okay, conscious artist. Okay, all right. So, how is it that? Okay, I know you have a TikTok. I know you have a Facebook. How can people get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on all social media at Titus Glenn Official. You can also go to my website for my life coaching and sound baths. You can go to www.aftertheheartofyou.com. At www.aftertheheartofyou.com.
Okay. Well, Titus, I think we are good for today. I just, unless there is something else that you want to share before we get off, I, you know, I, I've, I've really appreciated uh, your openness to share where you are in this journey, because as I was considering, who I wanted to be as a host, uh, I want to be able to talk to any and everybody with any kind of belief here on this show, just to show a diversity of beliefs and people in their journey. Everyone is definitely not in the same positions or spaces as it relates to our journey. And so, to hear that you have come so far, and even now understanding that we're the same age and you've already had this level of experience, that really says a lot. And so I salute you. And now, does that mean that you did graduate in 2000 or?
I did graduate in 2000. I did graduate in 2000. So, yes, I am a millennial to the core. And we are,
Okay,
I
yes,
feel like,
yes.
I think a lot of us are deconstructed. A lot of us are what has been coined really is deconstruction. And so we're all, and I say we're all, because there's some people that are holding on to their faith, but
Mm.
they don't want to release it because it's what it has served them. And there's no heat, no judgment. But I believe we hit a shift in the climate where people are starting to ask questions.
Mhm,
And when
mhm.
you don't have an answer to the question, now you give people two things to do. They're gonna either stay or they're gonna walk and find the answers that
Themselves.
they're looking for.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think that's really the meat of it is to begin the journey of finding out for yourself, really understanding who you coming to understand of who you are and what you want. That I, that when I wrote down create what you want, I keep on thinking about, what is it? Because a lot of times we say we want things, but then when the opportunity presents itself, it's not exactly what we say we wanted.
Well,
I could think
some people don't really know what they want.
that's true.
They,
And so
they,
then you throw out a vague thing, and then you get the job, and that job is not what the job you wanted, that kind of thing. Yeah. Or
yeah,
even
and
a
I,
relationship.
yeah, some people don't really know what they want, and I think that to me, that alludes to a lot of what they've been taught. And one of the things that has helped me to get out of this space, I ask myself this question. This might be a crazy question to ask, but I ask myself the question, what would you do if there was no help?
Hmm.
And I think about that, and if it's not hurting or harming anybody, I give myself permission to at least test it. But
You know, I'd be
people,
having.
huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, people, like I said, people are so fearful because it's been ingrained in them that God hates them, or you have to come to the altar every Sunday to repent because you did something. So we have always been taught to remain or feel like we've been taught to continuously be in a state of punishment. So
Truth, truth. I have crazy thoughts like, what if there's a place on earth that people are shipped off to, you move when they say you pass, you move off to another space and you just don't get to see the people that you knew before, that kind of thing. Or maybe at some point where we'll be made aware that there's something that we've been held back from all along, from knowing, the riches that was always there, but we didn't know that we had access and all this kind of thing. Just crazy thoughts. But the thing is that these things really could be real. A lot of the conspiracy theories and things is just the fact that it could be real, and really finding out what we choose to believe and those kind of things. So anyway, I really appreciate you coming on week two.
yeah,
Uh, and I'm looking forward to uh, just even witnessing more of your journey. And most likely we'll end up having you back again as
definitely.
we evolve, as we grow, as we move forward. Maybe one day, once I actually have a production team and doing this on the real, come on now. And so thank you so much, Titus, for being my guest this week.
My pleasure.
It's the J Bass Today Show. Now I'm telling you that it's your Adam.